Good morning. Welcome you here this week. We are back for yet another press briefing, as usual. Seated before you, from that side, we have Mr. Maxwell Bigirwa. Is our leader in Makerere University. We have Basajja Charles, our Secretary for Finance, our Vice President, Madame Raquel, our President, His Excellency Joseph Chiza Kabuleta, our General Secretary, Asmani Odaka, and our leader in charge of research, Mr. Dr. Alvin Mutebi. I myself am Setumba Godfrey Tamale. We are here for another press briefing. I think the General Secretary is going to throw more light about the topic of today, but still, not to surprise you, we are here to address you about the act that was signed last week, that is the Computer Misuse Act. So, Mr. General Secretary, throw more light, and then we shall call in the President to address.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Let me begin by reporting Mr. Setumba, who keeps demoting me that I'm the General Secretary. I am the Secretary General, remember. The difference is that the Secretary General heads the administrative branch of a political party. General secretaries are secretaries below him in the branches of a political organization. So I am not just a leader in the branches. I am at national level, Mr. President, as far as the appointment I remember. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. This is our second press conference as a political party, as a need in our outfit. There is really not much to throw lights about this draconian law that Parliament passed the other day. We know that law, part of the qualities of a good legislation, that it should not have eyes. That's what we say. But this one, like everybody else, we know it has eyes. It is a law against what one man one time said, rumor mongering. So it's curbing what, in his opinion, is rumor mongering. But I would want to pass this microphone to the President to address, because he has the gist of this address. So in his address, you will capture exactly what our opinion as need is against that draconian law. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. First of all, I will not go there. I would like to tell you that, as we had told you earlier, lockdown has started in Mubende and Kasanda, and it's coming to Kampala. coming near you. So don't think it's going to stay in Mubende and Kasanda. That's not the purpose. I want to tell you that let me give you a historical perspective of what we are talking about. By end of 2019, it was becoming very difficult for this government of ours to get any money whatsoever from abroad, because all the things they were using, previously Museveni used fighting terrorism, making sure Islamic fundamentalists don't come down south, keeping them in Somalia and all that, and all those other things which he was using to get money from the foreigners. And of course, because of their appetite for money, they somehow have to keep on getting money from foreigners. Now, around that time, America even asked UPDF to exit Somalia, because they had even opened an embassy there, and now Somalia was no longer the basket case that it was. It was beginning to become stable. So now Museveni was losing his relevance to those powers anyhow, and then he was also losing the ability to keep on getting money from them for reasons such as those. He also used refugees at some stage, but then they realized that they were eating all the money for refugees of course, as Uganda was opening borders for all manner of refugees, and were, I think, the world's second biggest host of refugees. But of course, because they were getting money from those people. Eventually, the agencies supporting refugees decided to send the money straight to agencies that are dealing with refugees and not through Prime Minister's office, which was where, okay, through Prime Minister's office, but mostly straight to the agencies, so they could not eat that money. So now they had actually reached the end of any foreign money until COVID came. Now when COVID came in the first months of 2020, then they started releasing money for, you know, loan money. So government borrowed billions of dollars to fight COVID, so to speak, and then they continued eating COVID money. Now when COVID money ended, as it has ended right now, they realized that there is still some money that the Western powers are supposed to give to push for vaccination. Vaccination of anything. You know what vaccinations are all about. I've told you what I think and what is true. So now they realize that there's still money there to be taken from vaccination. So then conveniently, Ebola comes in Uganda. But then there's one small problem, because there is somebody who works in Uganda Virus Research Institute who has been tweeting openly that they have not found a single positive Ebola sample, but that the Ministry of Health is telling them to make the samples positive, even when they are negative. That's not me, somebody who works from UVRI, and he's open. He's brazen about it, he's not hiding about it. So, now, recently, last week, the Minister of Health, that's Monday, the Minister of Health decides that they no longer want Ebola samples to be tested at Uganda Virus Research Institute, which is actually responsible for testing all such samples for all infectious diseases, even if you know, it's not necessarily viruses. Now they say they want to create another laboratory under Minister of Health, which is going to be controlled by Minister of Health, and which is going to be responsible for testing all Ebola samples. Now what that means is that now the fake numbers are going to start coming. The way it was with COVID, where they tell you now how many people, and you're not there. So they will just tell you now here, the UVRI is independent and independently funded, and they can come up and say the truth is there has not been a positive Ebola sample. Somebody was tweeting, and I can even show you the tweet, his name and what he's tweeting, and he's doing it openly. So the thing is, now, of course, if they take it here, then the numbers. So the purpose of the lockdowns is to force people to get vaccinated with a trial Ebola vaccine. And we have already started receiving free trial Ebola vaccines. But their vaccines are coming with money for these people to eat. If they can force the vaccine into your body, they will eat money. But God knows what will happen to you after 3 or 4 months down the road. As I warned you about COVID, now people are dropping dead. And now it's now no longer hidden news. It's all over. I'm seeing even top news channels are now covering it. Strange sicknesses, you know, causing the death of people who are vaccinated. Now, the people who wanted everybody to be vaccinated were frustrated that in Africa, the vaccine uptake is less than 10%. Whereas in other, mostly in the Western world, it is 70, maybe 80% for the most part. So now they even came up with malaria vaccine. I mean, we've had malaria for 100 years. Nobody has ever talked of a vaccine until now, when everybody wants vaccines in our body. And they are calling them trial vaccines. But the only way they are going to convince people to take trial vaccines is by forcing you locked in your house, and they say we shall open you up when you accept to be vaccinated. So that you have a choice between dying now or dying 6 months from now. But either way you die. Because don't you fool yourself that those vaccines are not going to cause death. They are going to cause death. Because I showed you here before that a video of Bill Gates, who is the biggest funder of World Health Organization, biggest funder of Gavi, saying that we shall reduce the population of the world by 15%. That is 1 billion people whom they want to kill. He said it, I showed it to you here. It's on video. Okay? Even the fake fact finders could not change that, because he said it in a TED talk in 2010. So, when these people speak, they are not speaking. And now, the people at the Ministry of Health know that the COVID vaccines are very dangerous. They know that. That's why none of them is vaccinated. And none of their children is vaccinated. The president knows that these vaccines are going to cause death. He knows it. That's why he's not vaccinated, except in front of air. But now let me tell you, the next time somebody comes and starts telling you something is good for you, and they are paying you money to do it, are they the ones who produced you or what? How can somebody come and say we are saving your life, but we'll give you money to save your life? And what, are they your parents? And then you see celebrities, everybody coming. They take injections in front of the media. Do you know how many injections those people take? Have you ever seen them taking any other injection in front of the media? So why do they come and do that in front of the media? They are trying to convince people to take trial vaccines. Now, I am warning everybody, if you want your body to be an experiment lab, you go and get the vaccine. But if you value your body, do not under any circumstances accept to take that Ebola vaccine. Don't. I am warning you, and do not let any of your children or any such people get that vaccine. Because it is coming from people who have stated clearly that they want to reduce the population of the earth. I showed you that video here. And they said using new vaccines. He said it. If you want me to show it to you again, I will show it to you again. I have it. So, I'm warning you as somebody who cares about your life. Do not accept that, people come up with fake numbers. Why can't Ministry of Health get UVRI, which is independent and independently funded, to tell us actually how many samples have tested positive? Why must it be under the control of Ministry of Health? Yet they are very famous for coming up with fake numbers as they did with COVID. Fake numbers. They just manufacture them in I don't know whose head, and then they put them out there. And they say numbers are rising. So all of you are locking you in your houses. So now the people in Mubende have been locked in there and they are roasting in their houses in the midday sun. But the gold mines in Mubende are open. I think Ebola fears gold. So the rest of Mubende and Kasanda are locked except the gold mines. I mean, Ugandans, when do we ever stand up and say we are tired of being kumanyirad like this? At what stage do we do that? So Ebola is scared of gold. Gold mines are okay. But I told you, now the next thing they will do, since now they are taking the laboratory to Ministry of Health, they will come up with a fake person. Eh? Somebody tested positive in Kampala. Lockdown. And you guys will accept. As they make money, because let me tell you, Museveni has run this economy into the ground completely. Completely run into the ground. Everything is limping. But even as the whole economy is limping, he has gone and given URA very impossible targets to meet, that you are supposed to collect 25 trillion. Last year they collected 21 point something trillion and broke a record. Now they are supposed to collect 25 trillion. That's their target. But in the meantime, the economy from which they are supposed to collect it is shrinking. You go and ask businessmen in town. There are so many commodities you cannot get now because you are not importing them. The taxes are unreal. You import something, by the time you're through with paying taxes, you cannot sell it to anybody. It's too expensive. So now people are staying away from importing certain things. So now even if we had become an import economy, which is bad in itself, even now import people are running away from. You will fail to get basic things because people are saying the taxes are too high. Now then they go and because they have to collect 25 trillion, they go and increase pay as you earn from 30 to 40% for people who are earning 10 million and above. So which means somebody who earns 9 million gets more take home than somebody who earns 10 million. If you do the math. Okay? Now, how do you move a tax in the middle of a financial year from 30% to 40%? That's not how they do things. Like, that is just plain stupid. People increase taxes by 2%, 3%, maximum maybe 35%, but usually like from 30 to 33%. And even then, at the beginning of a financial year, not in the middle. Because people plan, companies plan in a certain way. Now, you're telling them that, because some people negotiate their salaries as take home, not as gross. So if my salary is take home 10%, and that's what I negotiated for, then my company knows that if they will pay 15 million for me, and the 5 million will go to government. But now if it has gone to 40%, then they are going to disorganize the whole system in the middle of a financial year. All because they are trying to meet unrealistic targets from an economy which is absolutely limping. Now they cannot get, so they just send these URA guys to go there like, soldiers to go and squeeze whatever money they can from anybody for whatever reason because they have to make 25%. Okay? And yet, they are locking people down. So now we are going to have a scenario where people are locked down, they are not working, but the taxman, for him, he wants to increase from 21 trillion to 24 trillion, 25 trillion. First of all, that's even in a normal economy, that's very unrealistic. Usually, you know, you grow at a certain rate. Now, but these ones, because they are Queen Bee sitting in Entebbe, wants more, you know the way Queen Bee is, all of you have to work for the comfort, for his comfort, 2 billion shillings every day. Go and get taxes from them. And Queen Bee for him is, you know, growing fatter and fatter, while everybody under him is working themselves to the ground. This is what we are having here. By the way, let me tell you something. Somebody said in the media that the Computer Misuse Act was targeted at stopping need. Let me tell you, there is absolutely nothing that I'm not going to do. I'm going to do any different because of that stupid law. Nothing. If they want to put me in a cell for 5 years, it's okay as long. No, they reduced it to 5. If they want to put me in the cell for 5 years, no problem. I only hope I'm in the same cell as Muhozi, who is starting wars with his Twitter account. At least for me, I'm not starting wars with friendly neighbors. So on condition that I'll be in the same cell as Muhozi for 5 years, bring it on. Come and arrest me even tomorrow. We are not going to be coiled by stupid laws like that. We have a country to care about. And we are going to continue using our social media handles the way we think they should be used. If they want to arrest Kabuleta, let them come. Let them bring it on. But we are not going to be coiled. Okay? And then this Queen Bee who is seated there, growing fat, and now he wants to vaccinate people with a trial vaccine because he wants money from Bazoum, from World Health Organization and so on, and World Bank. And he's ready to sacrifice the lives of people for those few millions of dollars. Well, if you want to make your body a laboratory, you go ahead. For me, I refuse to make my body a laboratory for COVID. And I warned everybody whom I could. I warned everybody whom I could. Do not take that thing. Do not take it. Now there are court cases. Pfizer has already started paying out certain people for the damage their vaccine is causing. But in Uganda, they are still giving the vaccine. Whereas abroad, everybody has chucked the vaccine mandate. Now people are actually going to court. There's even a case at International Criminal Court over those vaccines. But in Uganda, they are still giving them. So now, what kind of people do we have here at Ministry of Death? They just want people to die so that they get money. But by the way, it's not just them. It comes from the top. From the top. So we are in a serious problem where we are being pushed to the wall. You either die or you die. Okay? They lock you down. Then they start saying, we shall open up when 50% of the people are vaccinated. Then some people, because they are very desperate, they say, Wange, instead of dying now, let me go out, you know. Then they say, no. Actually, when 70% are vaccinated, you remember that with COVID? We shall open up when what? They started saying, we need at least, then they start saying, herd immunity. What? And it's all fake. And now let me tell you, this Ebola thing has complicated business completely. Talk to anybody who is in the tour business, and he will tell you how many people are canceling tours because of this fake Ebola. Even if there are 1 or 2 cases, they are usually handled better. It's handled better. There is no country which is so eager to come up and proclaim Ebola. Like where? Then, Ebola was in Sierra Leone, in Congo, and some other West African countries, including in Uganda twice. Never has anybody mentioned a lockdown. But once the word lockdown entered dictator Museveni's mind during COVID, now he will come up with an excuse to lock people down, except gold mines. So now businesses are struggling. People who are going to buy things to come and to import things, struggling because of all the red tape you have to go through because you are carrying a Ugandan passport. And because your president wants some money from WHO. So he comes with some fake numbers. Then tourists come here, cancelled. So everybody is suffering because of the Ebola talk, the explosion of Ebola talk, and yet they continue wanting their 25 trillion. So now this is the problem we find ourselves in. So now, what are we as a country going to do? At what stage does our country start working for us? Okay? Are we going to sit here and Queen Bee continues fattening himself on the labor of everybody else? On the labor and suffering of everybody else? By the way, do you know how Queen Bees die eventually? Eh? And sometimes they are eaten by the bees themselves. They get tired. The ants themselves, they get tired and they eat it. I was just giving you a biology lesson. You can use that information the way you want. So at some stage we are going to say that we can't continue with this. We are not. I mean, you can't have a whole country held hostage by a few people who do not give a damn about anything that's happening. They don't care. So anyway, those are my whatever, my words. Today we don't have anybody, so that's it. That's what you came here for. Eh? Uganda.
President is warming up for Uganda. Uganda lunywera amazzi. Yedde olwendo.
Kakati ensonga gye mbagamba twabagamba wano nti omukulembeze w'eggwanga ayagala kuteekawo lockdown. Okay, omufuzi w'eggwanga ayagala kuteekawo lockdown. Ne tubagamba nti waliwo obuzibu wano we nali ndaba kubanga twafuna obuzibu n'Ebola nti abantu waliwo omuntu omu akola mu Uganda Virus Research Institute Entebbe evunaanyizibwa okukebera samples z'abantu abasuubirwa okubeera nga balina Ebola. Niyo omuntu omu abadde ku Twitter ng'agamba ekituufu kiri tetufunangayo sample yadde n'emu ebadde positive. Naye ministry tugamba nti mugambe positive. Abadde abiteeka ku Twitter, nze nange wembisobye. Ndowooza gwe baba basooka okukwata ku Computer Misuse Act. Baba bakwata nga tebannankwata nange. Kaakati ministry y'ebyobulamu ekyo n'etakyagala kati neesalawo byabadde mu mawulire mu wiiki ewedde ne bagamba nti kati baagala kutondawo laboratory endala we bakeberera Ebola nga CUVRI nga eri wansi wa ministry y'ebyobulamu nga be bagenda okukebera. Lwaki bwe bakiteeka awo ne bakyusa okukebera okwo badde mbogamba nti abantu bonna balwadde Ebola, badde mbogamba nti kati abalwadde b'Ebola bali 15 onoomanyirawa laboratory we bagiirako obuvunaanyizibwa nga bwe kyali ku COVID nga bagenda balimba abantu nti kati COVID namba zeeyongedde ne babasiba naye nga ani yaliyo ng'ennamba zeeyongera, ani yaliyo nga bakebera. So n'olw'ensonga eyo kati baagala kutandika fake numbers ne kati batandise okuggalawo, batandise Kasanda ne Mubende ne Kasanda baziggaddewo okuggyako bwe basimira gold awo tebaggalawo ndowooza Ebola atya gold. Kati abasima gold abo tebagenda baggalawo kubanga ndowooza Ebola atya gold. Ne kasooka embabulire bino ebadde bigenda maaso nga mu mwaka gw'2019 amawanga ag'ebweru gaali galekeddawo okuwa Uganda ssente nga bye twekwasa byonna biweddewo. Twasooka ne tubafunamu ssente nga tukozesa Somalia twagala kuumira abatujju bano baleme kujja eno ekyemmanga basigale engulu eyo. Kati ekyo nga Amerika kibakwatako nnyo ne beeyongera otuwa ssente ezo ne bazirya. Kati ezo bwe zaagenda nga ziwedde n'Amerika n'eteeka n'embase mu Somalia ng'eggwanga ligenze litandika okutebenkera. Kati we baavaawo kati ate n'alyako ne kuzaaba refugees bano abanoonyi b'obubudamu. Ezo ne bazirya naye bino ebitongole ebivunaanyizibwa ku banoonyi b'obubudamu ne bitegeera nti ssente ze basindika gavumenti eziya kati bo ne bagenda ne batandika ssente oziwa direct nga baziwa ebitongole ebikwata ku abanoonyi b'obubudamu nga teziyita mu gavumenti. Awo nawo ne bafiirwa. Naye COVID bwe yajja mu 2019 kati awo ne balyoka basumulula ssente ne baga kati muli baddembe okujja okwewola ssente nga bwe muzaagala. Kati ne tugenda ne tufuna biliyoni ne biliyoni za dola nga tuzeewola olwa COVID. Kati ne bali ezo ne bazimba ebizimbe ne bazimba za arcade. Kati eza COVID bwe ziweddewo ne bategeera nti wakyaliwo ssente abazungu ze bayinanga za kugema abantu nga baagala kugema abantu n'okukola trials zaabwe ebyo ebiragala bye bateeka mu bantu kakibe kya covid byali byagezesa kati bakyayagala abantu be bagezesezaako ebiragala byabwe kati wano we baategeera nti bano bakyalina ssente ezo ne bajjawo n'ekyebola naye bagenda okujja nti ebola bazudde omuntu alina ebola nga vaccine z'ebola zaatuuka dda obulwadde vaccine zezisooka obulwadde ne bulyoka butuuka yes bino byakifere zaaliwo by the way baali baŋŋamba dda n'okuŋŋamba nti ne ssente baaziteekawo awo mugemese abantu ebola tubawe ssente ziti so kati ebyo nga already weebiri so noweesanga nga kati ssente zino ne bagamba tulina okuzirya nazo zino tulina ozirya kwazo ezisigadde ez'okuteeka mu bantu vaccine zaabwe ez'okugezesa kati ne balyoka baleetawo ebola naye mu kuleeta ebola ne batta buli kimu bizinesi bazitse abantu abagenda okusuubula tebakyayinza kutambula bulungi lw'okuba olaga pasipoti ya uganda buli omu naakutundulira nga ayina ebola bano abalambuzi bakoze cancellations basazizzaamu tripu zaabwe ze baali bakola edda mu uganda kati njagala nkubulye bano abakola mu tour companies omuntu bw'aba agenda kujja mu uganda tugeze kati nga mu December ssente bazikusindikira mu March abamu na mwaka mulamba nga ssente oziina ng'oziina ku account kati omusajja bw'asazaamu naga asikyazze ssente olina ozimuddisa kati abantu bangi bano aba tour company bali mu kusasula ssente because abantu basazizzaamu tripu zaabwe za Uganda olw'ensonga eyo so ne tufuna obuzibu wano nti economy bagisse kati ate ayagala kusibira abantu mu mayumba ate temulowooza nti lockdown egenda kuggwera Kasanda na Mubende ne wano e Kampala ejja kati ate testing yagenze Ministry of Health bali abalimbo kamala obumazi sina balimba bulimba basi kati bajja kuvaayo enkya bagabe ne wano e Kampala twazuddewo ebola namwe babasibe kati jjukira abantu abaafa wano olw'okubasiba abantu abalina okugenda okufuna amalagala balina endwadde ezisobola okuwona tebasobola kutuuka mu ddwaliro ne babasibye jjukira ebola si gwe gusoose okujjawo tewali ebola we yali abadde ne basiba abantu lockdown tabadde eyo yali Congo yali Sierra Leone yali Cameroon Liberia ne tewali muntu yali asibiddwa olwa ebola niyo olw'okuba kati ekigambo lockdown kyayingira obwongo bwa president n'abantu bwe baagala okuvugira mu kibuga nga temuli bantu mwena muli waka mufe enjala naye nga bo bavuga enfuufu ekendedde tewali traffic jam kubanga bo bali essential kati bajja baggalira wano ne mu Kampala ne tunaakoma ddi kati ate ne bakwata URA naye tubadde tulina okufuna omusuubuzi ajja abulira abantu ebintu abasuubuzi bye bayitamu ne bonna batya tasobola kujja wano ku platform ya need kubanga batya n'amala ajja wano basobola omunyiga n'akatono kabadde asigaza nako ne bakatwala era buli omu oyogera naye ayogerera naawe awo n'ayogera naye kutuuka okujja guno mulundi gwakubiri nga tugezaako okuleeta omusuubuzi naye gutuuka ku mande nti oli wanzija ssaawa 5 akamwana ate ebintu byammwe sibisobola traffic jam naye n'abayuwa kati abadde alina okujja wano leero naye batya kuba bakuyimbulira URA kakati URA bagigambye egende kuŋŋanya trillioni 25 n'omusobyo omwaka oguwedde bakuŋŋanya trillioni 21 naye nga bamenye rekodi zonna tebazikuŋŋanyangako naye kati baagala bongereko kumpi trillioni 4 ng'ate ekonomi yeyongera kunafuwa kati banaazijjawa kati ne weesanga nga baageze ne bongeza ssente zino eza pay as you earn omuntu afuna milioni 10 gavumenti esooka neekulyako milioni 4 nga temunaakubaako na kye mweyogedde 40% ennya zisooka ne zigenda kati bagenda okuggyako zino endala obeera wa mukisa okufuna okugjayo 5 ezaki ez'omusaala gw'ofuna take home kati ne weesanga ng'omuntu afuna milioni 9 ekazzaayo kinene okusinga omuntu afuna milioni 10 kubanga ono ow'omwenda ali ku 30% ow'ekkumi ali ku 40% kati bw'okola ekibalo ow'omwenda alina bigger take home than ow'ekkumi kati goyinza okubeerawo n'ogaa nti ate kinnantuukako kubanga nze nfuna milioni 1 bajja kutuukako n'emitwalo 5 bajja kutuukako kubanga kasita bagendayo eri jjukira tebasobola kuweza trillioni 25 tebasobola naye nga tebali ku pressure baba bateeka ku pressure mugende munoonye ssente buli wonna we ziri naye we banoonya ssente teziriwo bavuwazizza buli omu bo baagala kulyaza abazungu nga basibira abantu mu mayumba babageme ensonga lwaki baagala basibira mu mayumba baleka bagaya kati okubakkiriza okutambula mulina okugenda babageme ekyo kye baagala ate nga ssente z'okugema zaatuuka dda weeziri wano naye tebasobola zikwatako balina okusooka okulaga nti kati tugemye abantu bwe bati ne balyoka babawa ssente naye mbalabula bw'ogenda n'ofuna empisa eyo ya vaccine ya Ebola togaa nti saakulabula because bangi be nalabula wano covid abamu nabaziika dda naye nga nabagamba lwatu ne baga tofuna akayisa ako tokafuna naye nga nalinga n'aba amawulire n'agamba nti naye nga bw'agenda ku mpewo mugende babageme naye nga bwe kuvaako ab'amawulire ab'amaanyi bwavaako agamba nafuna kadoozi kamu siddangamu kubeera kyekimu nzuukuka ekiro nga nze nampulira ebbugu mu biki naye nga bonna babonaabona naye nga ku mpewo agana mugende babageme nze bangema dda nga bamugema naye kati abamu twabaziika nga balamu bato so ne kakutanda n'ogenda kasa mbalabudde kati luli bwe nabyogera abantu bamulega ne Kabuleta naawe buli kimu okiyingizaamu politics sebo politics manyaawo muleeta naye ate n'obulamu bw'abantu mbufaako kuba nabagamba wano kati n'emisango gyatuuka dda mu kooti ejya covid vaccine kooti z'ebweru mu state ya Massachusetts mu America kampuni yasasula omuntu $1,000,000 olw'okuba baamugoba ku mulimu ng'agaanye okwegemesa kati zino vaccine mandates bwe zivuddewo n'agenda n'awaaba n'agamba nti baali banzijjako omulimu ne bamuwa $1,000,000 naye nga ye yagaana n'aga omulimu gwammwe mugutwale sigenda kwegemesa kati yo yali omugezi kati juzi nali ndaba vidiyo ya comedian omu eri avumirira ennyo abagaana abantu okwegemesa naga muli basiru naga nti bw'oba olowooza nti eno empisa eriko obulabe teeka waggulu emikono kati awo ne wawanika emikono naga ati kwata ogwo omukono gwennyini gw'owanise weekuba oluyi ogandi ndi musiru oyo comedian yabyogera yafa baamugema of course n'afa ng'alina emyaka 33 n'afa kati abantu abaali balowooza nti baamagezi ne tubalabula ne bagaana abamu twabaziika kati tugeza n'otwala ak'Ebola by the way ekyo kyo ne bakinkwatira because bino bya bulamu sigenda kukkiriza bantu kubatunda kufuuka laboratory nti mwe bakozesa okugezesa buli kantu konna buli kakica konna ke baleeta nga bakwata minister of health nga bagiwa ssente nga muteekawo emibiri nga babagezesezaako ojja nga bagati doza vaccine erimu obulabe abantu baafudde Uganda naye nga abantu abaafudde babaziise bali baalidde ssente zaabwe so toli laboratory toli kyakugezesa so n'olw'ensonga eyo ekyo nkibalabuddeko zino ze mulaba simanyi trial Ebola vaccines temuzitwala because kati data shows data eraga nti COVID vaccine is 98 times more dangerous than COVID. That is data avudde Bungereza. Data avudde Bungereza agamba nti akayisa akagema COVID kabulabe emirundi 98 okusinga COVID. Kati abantu abatwala akayiso petwagaana oteya petwagaana nze nagaana era tosobola kunte tosobola kumba kiyiso nga simaze kutegeera weyitaani gwe nanyini mubiri gwange wano slave trade twavaawo. I am in control of my body. Teri ayiza kunteekamu kintu kye saagala. So n'olw'ensonga eyo ensonga ya Computer Misuse Act mbadde njagala bagamba ekintu kimu kyokka. Computer Misuse Act tegenda kulobera need oba abantu baffe okubaako ne kye tukola ekikyukako ne ku ngeri gye tubadde tubikola. Baba baagala tusiba bajje batusibe. Kasanja kubeera mu komera lyerimu ne muhoozi akozesa Twitter okutankula entalo wakati wa Uganda, Kenya, Uganda, Congo, Uganda, Eritrea, Ethiopia. Sinatuuka waawo. Kati baba basiba omuntu yenna batandikire ku muhoozi kubanga he is the biggest misuser of social media. Biggest by far. One atonzewo diplomatic roles just using his Twitter. Kati ati sinze njikozesa kwogera mazima abantu ge batayagala naye nga ngogedde. So kati n'olw'ensonga eyo babasi batandikire ku oyo balyoke badde kunze. Awo sijja kubeera na buzibu bwonna. Njagera emyaka 5 obutaano nja kuvaayo mu 20 what 27 2027 kiwabi nemukomera banominatinga so by the way teeka ligamba nti omuntu gwe bavunanye cannot stand for public office bali bajoga baddaage naye kale kiwedde ntubaze
tweyanziza nnyo. Our president is always full of surprises. Suubira nti mwakisuubidde naye kino nakyo kyaleese ate nga kikulu. Ekyennyamiza kiri kimu kusinziira ku byannyonnyodde ebikwatagana ku vaccines. Twandibanga batukulembera basezi kwa baagala bafu. Mr. Odaka, do you have anything to say, Madam President?
Okay. Good morning. My addition on the computer misuse is, as the President said, these laws are made by the NRM and the government to uncap the oppositions and those that disagree with the government. But as it says, the age of sword will go back to them. They are the very people who will suffer the laws that they are making. As the President said, the first person who should be behind bars should be Muhoozi, because we all know what he has been doing on Twitter, that is creating enmity all over the world. So he should be the first person that should be taken behind bars. That is my addition. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
Yeah, let me just say something. For me, number one, the challenge I want to throw it to the media fraternity first. Because when they enact, actually when you read this law, the entire of it is targeting more of the media than we, the politicians. Because for us, we will talk. But then, your work as the media is to share. And it is the sharing which is being criminalized. So, I want to ask, what is the journalism associations and groupings and you doing about it? Do you honestly think that law is to target politicians? That's number one. Number two, I want you people to go back to Charles Onyango Bo Andrew Mwenda versus Attorney General. And you see that was a constitutional petition. When you go to the conclusion of the court's ruling, it was clear. And if you want to quote the very last paragraph, it is stated, Uganda deliberately chose to be a democratic nation. And it must abide by all democratic principles, including protecting personal freedom. And it is cited specifically Article 29. Now, when you get back to this, where is the difference? And you see, it annoys that my brother Nsereko, who was used to front this, is a senior lawyer who should have this background. But thirdly, you see, to know the intention of a legislation, you go back to its spirit or read the history. You remember at one time, the ruler of this country talked about rumor mongering. And then they brought a tax. He said that tax is to tax rumor mongering. Of course, you know how the whole thing backfired. They realized their tax was very costly. Actually, the cost of collecting the tax was more than the collection. It backfired, they withdrew. Secondly, he talked about the issue, they blocked. You remember blocking. physically blocking it. Now it is legislating, bringing a law against it. But you see, they are not bringing a law against social media or what. They are bringing a law against freedom of expression, which is part of the inalienable rights we have in the 1995 Constitution. You also remember about the law against sedition. All of these. But what is important, President and Vice President spoke about. There is a gentleman in this country who misuses his computer, and the father apologizes. You see, for him, he does the tweeting, the father does the apologizing. Now, and President is only talking about verbal aggression against the other sovereign states. But now he's even beginning to post pictures of women who could even be people's mothers or wives. Now, what kind of misuse of computer can we talk about more than that? I am waiting for the father's apology about posting people's behind that they are disturbing his sleep. So what kind of misuse can you talk about? But I want to also tell my brother Muhammad that at one time a gentleman called Vingira also brought a certain law under Emergency Act. The first person it caught up with was him. You remember the Mbabas here under Poma. The first victim was him. And
let me ask a question. Since Facebook is officially banned in Uganda, can you be charged with misusing something which officially does not exist in the country? No, my point is it, I don't know, this one knows some law. Is it, if something is officially does not exist in the country, like Facebook, so can I be banned with you misusing Facebook when it doesn't exist?
You know, Article 28 of our Constitution says you can't create a crime where there is no law. That's Article 28 of our Constitution. And in Latin we say, siga prima, siga lege. There can only be a crime if there is an action. So you cannot charge somebody when you banned the thing. So where did he commit the crime? Because the crime has only two elements. It has an action, what we call actus reus, which is the action of the crime, and the intention to commit it. So for the action to happen, there must be a ground. So that means the ground is absent. It can't be under what they call strict liability, where you only commit a crime even by meditating. So in other words, what Sereko is doing, Sereko is doing that. But you see, I was telling him, because it is banned. It is banned. So if you have your own ways of using it, we know in this country that there's no Facebook. So where will I commit the crime? If I have not driven, how can I commit a traffic law without driving? That is it. So I want to tell my brother, because it hurts me that is Muhammad in Sereko, and if there is anybody who should be talking about other issues, I have stated it here that the Muslim community are the ones that have a lot of problems in this country. You go to Luzira, even when we are saying that Muslims are only 12% in this country, in Luzira, they are the majority. So how can Muhammad not talk about things like that? And he's talking about things of, there is about defamation, all these things. So I'm telling you, what Mr. Nsereko and Museveni and the rest are doing is to do away with the profession of journalism. Just know it is as mere as that. They have, of course, done away with the conflict resolution, some courses at Makerere, but this one is being done through legislation. If you don't fight for it, just forget it. Thank you very much.
Maxwell, you can make your comment.
Yes, good morning. My name is Begira Julius Maxwell, the interim chairman, Need Makerere chapter. Mr. President, yourself being a former journalist, this question actually goes to you. Does the Computer Misuse Act bring an end to journalism? Because some journalists use social media to take information to people. For example, we can remember the infamous COVID-19 lockdown. It is many of us were blindfolded that the COVID was real. It's only after Kazwe Bashir was working at Vukeda at the time, recorded a video, an audio, when he called the patients from a certain hospital, and then they revealed the uncertainties that were happening in the centers where they were being locked up. So does it mean that such information is no longer going to be shared? If yes, does it bring an end to journalism? Thank you.
The truth is, problem comes with what I call self-censorship. If everybody just went and did everything the way they have been doing it, how many people are they going to lock up? Unless lock up is locked down. But I mean, like, how many people are you going to lock up? You see, there are certain laws which are just there to be broken. I know it's going to be selectively applied, just like the Computer Misuse Act is selectively applied. By the way, I still have a case pending on computer misuse for writing rants 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So, and the case has not yet been disposed of. It's still there at DPP's office, and has survived, I think, 3 DPPs so far. But it is still there. And so they have somewhere to start. Let them just start that one and add this one on it, and then they charge me completely. Maybe it will be good to see the case disposed of finally, one way or the other. But the point is, answering him, what I call self-censorship, where people get scared and they start, and that's their intention, by the way. The intention is not to stop people using social media or stop the media propagating what they do. The intention is to make people think twice before they do certain things. Think twice before you share something. Now, my point is, imagine there's this video, they don't like what he said, it's supposedly misuse. Then it is shared by, let's say, 5,000 people. I mean, we shall need to expand ourselves to arrest all those people. So the issue comes is when people fear. And then they say, and I know, I've been in the media and I know that works a lot. You find somebody saying, there's this, but I don't know whether there will be freedom after speech. So they actually edit their stories themselves, and somebody just puts something there and lets you control yourself, puts boundaries. And when somebody tries to exceed the boundary, they are beaten, then they come back. And then they keep you around there. That's the purpose of this law. But then, to also add on to what Mr. Subad was saying, do you know that during campaigns, Nsereko's main topic of discussion was taxes in Kampala? How taxes on fabrics were unrealistic. Businessmen in Kampala were suffering. Man, the things people talk before campaigns and after campaigns. Now that the election ended, the jazz is completely different. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Do we have any question?
Mike Mutebi, I'm working with PBS Telefine. My question is, what will be the alternative for lockdown? Because you said the lockdown was unnecessary. So can you give us the alternative? Both.
Any more questions? Bibuzo we kabitono.
I'm sorry I came late. That allow me to say good morning to you. Good morning, my president. Is it afternoon? Sorry. Good afternoon to you all. I found this somewhere, and I thought, while I was thinking about the computer misuse, it says, because they have collapsed the social cohesion, created enmity amongst tribes, they feel it's time to zip us up because of the looming genocide. They practice what they don't want us to show and talk about, such as sectarianism, tribalism, nepotism, corruption, torture. Mention them. You talk about it, you are segregative. Show them to the world, write about them, you are criminalized and locked. That is the view of the national spokesperson need. Thank you.
Azereti naye aleese ekyo tweyanziza ssebo. Mpozzi abali wano bannamawulire twongeeko na kino nti kyennyamiza okubanga etteeka lya computer misuse lyaleeteddwa Mohammed Nsereko nga ne school fees ze zaava mu musajja eyamala emyaka 5 ng'akola amawulire. It is so absurd. Taata we ebbanga lyonna abadde mu mawulire ku Radio Uganda, now UBC. Could it be really Mohammed Nsereko who has benefited from the media? Kimufudde ekyo. Ndowooza bannamawulire bwe muba nga temunnamanya kyakukola, musituke mugende mwogere musajja mukulu oyo, osanga anaatuuza mutabani we n'amubuulirira. Toyinza kuddira bbeere likuyonsa n'oliruma. Kuba kituufu sente ezo muzeeyi azijja mu Radio Uganda oba akyakola n'okukola, akyakola olumu ajja n'akola amaanyi akyageewulira. Bw'abanga azijja mabega wa muzindaalo, ddala ddala Mohammed Nsereko yandikoze ekyo, atusonyiwa okwogera ku famire ye. Ekirala, bwe kibanga etteeka lya traffic ligamba nti don't drink and drive, oba n'erya computer misuse yandigere don't drink and tweet, mukama wange ddamu ekibuuzo.
Kakati njagala kuddamu ono tumale. Ono kyenkugambye nti nakyogedde dda nti Ebola si gwe gusoose okulabika mu Uganda. Uno mulundi gwakusatu oba gwakuna ng'alabika mu Uganda. Tetwakozesa kigambo kyonna kiyitibwa lockdown, naye twafuna engeri nga bw'olaba omuntu alina symptoms bamutwala ne bamuwa isolatinga yennyini ne bamukebera bamuta bamaze okutegeera nti kyalina Ebola n'ebintu ebiringa ebyo, naye nga tebaggalira abantu balamu batambula bulungi nga tebalina bulwadde kibaluma kyonna ne babaggalira eka. Ekyo tebakikolangako. Number 2, ne mu mawanga amalala ga West Africa we yali basindikayo ba expert baffe bano ba Musenero, Dr. Musenero ono w'emmese yagula emmese oba ku miliyoni mmeka, emmese eza miliyoni 8. Oyo bamusindikayo n'agenda n'ayamba abantu abalala okulwanyisa Ebola, naye wamuwulira nga ayogera ekigambo lockdown. So mulekerawo kwerimba nti lw'okuba kyajja wano mu COVID ne tulaba nti kyali kya busiru. Ekyo tukiggalire. We should close that talk completely forever and also ekya lockdown, because buli tewali kigenda kujja wano kye tutalabye, naye twabikozesa nga tetukozesa lockdown kuggalira abantu bato balamu batalina buzibu bwonna ne bubaggalira. Ate ng'osobola okulaba omuntu ye oba n'abantu bennyini singa bakiteeka mu responsibility. Bw'owulira ng'olina busymptoms buno bwe buti, tambula ogende ku health center bakukebere. Oba toyina Ebola bakute at least omanyi toyina Ebola. Naye kati abantu bajja kutandika okutya okugenda mu malwaliro ng'alina symptoms kubanga amanyi ekigenda okuvaayo nga bwe kyali ku COVID. Naye nga singa bakikola nga kyavunaanyizibwa, nga obuvunaanyizibwa buteeka ku muntu yennyini. Bw'owulira nga towulidde symptoms ze zino, bw'owulira ng'olina ezimu ku ezo symptoms, nga bwe tukola ku musujja wano buli lunaku, gwe towulira nti olina omusujja gw'ensiri n'oga nti siwulira bulungi n'oga ne bakebera. So people are responsible. So ekya lockdown, that one is a mistake, and the problem is nabagamba wano ne musirika ne mulooza nti kati president n'agenda n'awa speech n'aga no, there is not going to be any lockdown. But he's a liar. He's a consummate liar. He has never spoken truth all his life. So now he says there's not going to be a lockdown and you keep quiet. Now, isn't there a lockdown? So, now I'm telling you there is going to be a lockdown in Kampala. You wait and see.
Tweyanziza nnyo. Bwaba tewali bibuuzo birala. Ndowooza tuyimuke tufune group photo. Tweyanziza nnyo. Mwebale kujja. Tusaba bye twogedde birabikire mu mpapula kubanga bibakwatako. Bwe kitaba ekyo bwe tuva wano mugende mukwate enkumbi mudde mu bulimi kuba omulimu bagubagobyemu. Mwebale nnyo.